And we will tell you also found not guilty of aggravated child abuse and aggravated manslaughter. But Anthony was found guilty of 4 counts of lying to investigators who were searching for Kaylee. She will be sentenced Thursday on those charges. Kevin.
All right, Meg, thank you. Today's verdict has everyone talking. My rant page is already melting down from people who are upset about the verdict. But to get some insight into the not guilty verdict, we have high-profile defense attorney Scott Adams here in our studio. And Scott, were you surprised by the not guilty verdict?
A little bit, but not really. I mean, obviously, I didn't watch the entire trial, but from what I watched, I never thought that they'd ever proved a murder case.
So you didn't think the prosecutors did a good job in presenting their side?
I thought they did the best job with what they had, but you got to realize they didn't find her innocent. They found her not guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, simply meaning that they don't think that the prosecution proved their case.
And sometimes people forget that they might have thought there was some culpability on her part, but the prosecution didn't prove it. With this case being so public, how much do you think the media played a role in this?
I think it played a huge role with the general public. I don't think that the jurors paid any attention to the media because they rendered a rather swift verdict on a lengthy trial. The prosecution was able to prove that she was not a good mother, but then again, that doesn't make her a murderer. There's a lot of unanswered questions that I know everyone wants to talk to her and find out what happened. I bet you'll see a book come out of this.
Oh, absolutely. What gets lost in all this sometimes, unfortunately, is the death of a little girl. And you and I were just watching that, and we both commented on that.
And that's what's really sad is that does get lost. And I think that everyone needs to take a step back and remember her and her young life. And hopefully, whatever happened, the truth will eventually come out, I think.
And in the defense in this presented the accidental drowning scenario, which I guess some of the jurors may have bought, but do you think it was a good strategy? At this point, you'd have to say, yeah, for them.
Yeah, as an armchair quarterback, yeah, it looks like a brilliant defense. When they first did it, I thought, what are you doing? I mean, that looks like you're really kind of overstepping it. But, you know, they did a good job with it, and obviously it worked to some extent.
The question now is, where does the investigation go? What happens now? Because they have to find somebody else, or maybe prosecutors and investigators think they had the right person, they just didn't get the guilty verdict.
I think that they had the right person, and they didn't get the verdict that they wanted to get, and I'd be very surprised to see a further investigation, particularly into her father.
And the fallout from this for the justice system, do you think?
Well, you know, personally, from what I saw, I thought that they did exactly what they should have done with the evidence that they were presented. You got to remember, the prosecutor couldn't tell the jurors how she died, when she died. All that was, you know, destroyed in the 6 months that she was out there. And so I think that with what they were presented, that it was a just verdict. It's hard to say that, particularly as a father and as a lawyer in this community. I mean, it made me sad, too. Do I think she's a little bit more culpable than what the verdict ended up being? Sure, but, you know, it's the law.
That's the way the system works.
It is.
Scott, we appreciate you being with us, and we know that we'll be seeing you on down the line. We've covered many of your cases. Appreciate your insight into this controversial decision today.
Anytime, my pleasure.
Thank you. Meg, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Kevin. Let's take a look now at that weather.